Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Scriptures over here, and welcome back to another episode of this tutorial series making you a new Roblox scripture fledgling. Last episode we talked about three services: Starter GUI, Starter Pack, and Starter Player, and how they can be used. In this episode we are going to talk about the Team Service, the Sound Service, and the TextChatService services. The Team Service, as per the name, allows you to create teams that you can separate new players into. You can create a team instance by clicking the plus button shown when hovering over the service and then clicking Team. This creates a new team instance. As you can see, since I'm already playing or playtesting in the Roblox IDE, the team was already added to the Roblox integrated GUI or graphical user interface. The team instance has three important properties: the name, the team color, and the auto-assignable trait. These properties have string, brick color, and boolean values respectively. If we play this game with this team instance placed in the team service and go look at our player, so let's stop this game and then play test after we create a team with the default property values, we will find that the player joins the team. We can also see this displayed on the GUI or graphical interface on the screen. We can also see the team color and name representing it and the players assigned to that team right under that team instance. Now let's stop the game and try changing the team instance properties. For example, let's change its name to owner. And then let's change the color, for example, to gold. Is there a gold? There we go. Let's also try changing the auto-assignable property to false, since it's a boolean value. Now if we play the game, you will find that the player, any player, when they join the game, they are not automatically assigned to the owner team. Rather, they are automatically assigned to a Roblox generated team called neutral, and this team is only created when other teams exist but don't have their auto-assignable property set to true, as they are boolean values. Any player that isn't assigned to a team is placed in a team called neutral, which is created by the Roblox IDE. Now let's stop the game and say you want to create multiple teams. So let's add more teams by clicking the plus button and clicking on team once and twice. And let's rename those teams to member and premium, for example. Member and premium. Something to note is that if multiple teams have the same color or have their auto-assignable properties set to true, the game will only show one of them randomly if they have the same color, and assign new players to only one of the teams randomly if they have their auto-assignable properties set to true. So let's change the colors and set auto-assignable to false. Let's change member, for example, to white, or keep it as white, and change premium to maybe something like bright orange. Alright, let's open our script that we have created previously. As this video is a follow-up with a prolonged period between the last video, to create a script, you just press the plus button and click on script. This creates a script. As we already have a script in the server script service, let's use it. Let's call it first script. Let's open the script, and let's say we want to set new players team property. So the players, when they join the game, they have a teams property, and this teams property, as we have the auto-assignable property of the teams in the team service set to false, it is automatically set to neutral. So if we look at our player, they have a team property, and since it's set to nothing, since all of the team instances auto-assignable properties are set to false, it is set to nothing, which is automatically the neutral team. Now let's stop the game. And let's say we want in our script to set new players' team property to a certain team based on, for example, if they have a membership, they bought a game pass, they're the owner of the game, as per the teams we created, right? So let's say we create two variables, and let's set them to the player service. So this is covered in previous videos on how to get services and set them to variables. To instantiate a variable, you use the local function or the local statement, right? And then you type in the variable name. It's variable. You can change it to whatever you want. Over here, we're gonna set it to PLS for the player service. Then we're gonna set it using the equals sign and then equals game get service, as it's a string. Players. Gonna input it as a string for the function get service. This is how to set a variable to the player's service. So let's create another variable. Set it to the team service. We're gonna name it TMS, game get service, teams, and let's use these services to set a new player's team to their respective team based on whether they're the owner or they have a premium membership with the game, right? So let's use an event we covered previously, the player added event, and let's use it to retrieve any new players added to the game, and let's connect it to a function we're going to call added. So to create a function, you use the local statement, then you add function next to that statement. So it's going to be local function, then you name the function you want to create. We're going to name it added. And in the input, as an argument, we're going to place player as the argument. It's going to be of the player class. And let's check if this player is a member or if they are the owner of the game and set their team based on that. So let's create three variables. And as we've covered previously, we use booleans and the if statement to check true or false statements, right? So let's create three variables, for example. Let's call them, one is going to be isOwner. Let's set it to false. Let's create an isMember, and let's set it to false. And let's create an isPremium variable, and let's set it to false. Now in the function, we're going to check if the player is an owner using an if statement, and we open the if statement using the statement if, right? So if the player is an owner, so the variables presented in the script, we're going to set them to false or true, as we didn't delve into how to check if a player is an owner, how to check if a player is a member, as you have to place in a framework beforehand. So usually it involves more scripting, but we're just going to use those standard variables. So we're going to check if this is an owner, the player that joined is an owner, and according to the variable they are not. So let's just check if is owner, then we want to set the player's team to the owner team. And we do this by referencing the team property of the player input by player.team. And let's set them to, this is AI, by the way. This whole, fill in the blanks was made using AI. It's interesting. But anyways, let's not go off on a tangent. Player.team, let's set it to the owner's team. So if we reference the team property of the player, and then we set it to TMS, which is the team service, and then .owner, which is a child of the team service, we set the player team to the owner's team, or the owner team. And let's close the if statement. Now, since the variable is false, the player's team, any added new player, so let's connect the function first. Let's input it into the connect function, right? So when a player is added, we connect this function, we run it, and we check if the player is an owner, and if they are, we set their team to the owner team. So let's play test and see if it works out. So let's play test, and once we play, we'll see that since the variable was false, the player's team wasn't set to owner. Now if we stop the game and then change the script variable is owner to true, and we play the game, we will find that the player's team property is set to owner, and they are part of the owner team. Now let's stop the game and add more if statements. So we covered the if statement in the previous video, and we talked about the else if. So let's add else if is member, if the player is a member, then make their team property set to tms.member, basically the member team. Let's add another else if statement. So if is owner is false and is member is false, then check if the player is a premium member. So let's check using else if is premium, then set the player.team property to tms.premium team. Now since is owner is true, the player team will be set to owner. But let's say the is owner variable is false, and let's set the is premium variable to true. You will see that the player team property is set to premium, and the player is part of the premium team. Now one thing to note is that the Boolean variables to check the player status are not how developers actually check if the player is the owner of the game or is a premium member. They use variables, but they assign them to booleans returned from methods or properties of certain instances or services, like for example the membership type property of the player instance, which is an enum. Another service we want to talk about is the SoundService. This service is used to store sound and sound group instances. In Roblox, there are instances that can store sounds and play them whenever you wish. These instances are of the sound class. Sound group instances, on the other hand, are used to control the volume of a set of sounds all at once. We will talk more about them and how they are used in another video. Some important properties of the SoundService are the ambient reverb, distance factor, and Doppler scale properties, which are of the enum, number, and number values respectively. The ambient reverb property controls how sounds attenuate, meaning how they sound when they reflect or bounce off the environment. There are different enum values. You can change this to based on the player's environment. The distance factor property changes how much 1 meter is equivalent to in studs for the game. Basically, when sound is played in any 3D game, calculations are made to check if and how it reaches players using the distance between the player and the sound. This distance factor property changes just that. The last property, the Doppler scale, affects how strongly or loudly voices change when moving at a speed towards you or away from you. It's related to sounds in motion and something called a Doppler effect in physics, and you can research more about the Doppler effect if you wish on any browser. The last visible service among the services we've covered so far is the TextChatService. This service is used to add text elements like chat bubbles or server messages to the chat. It can also be used to filter certain messages sent by players. We'll talk much more about the TextChatService in a later episode, once we introduce string manipulation, functions like string.gsub and string.split. In the next episode, we will talk about some hidden services that are used to create amazing visual effects using parts or models and run code at every frame. I hope you enjoyed this learning experience, and if you want to continue, be sure to watch the next video. If you want to stop here, just save your progress by pressing File, Save to File, and then name the file whatever you want and save it wherever you wish. Be sure to support the channel by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or inquiries, feel free to ask in the comments section.